Welcome to the first installment of the Pride of the North Sports with your host, me, Death Devil, and we're going to get into some topics today, including upper management and the draft for the Lions. Okay, the first topic I want to get into is Goff and the future at the quarterback and the management and the relationship between the two. I believe that Holmes did a great job trading for Goff and getting the two first rounders and multiple other round picks to get some draft capital to build up this team that needs a lot of talent, or did at one time. We know they went 9-7 last year. They improved from the year of 3-13 or whatever it was. The following year, they made leaps and bounds. Now this year, we expect Holmes to put more talent on this team, and then Dan Campbell coaching them up and coaching them the right way, like he has been. And I do have a lot of faith in both Holmes and Campbell to do their jobs. Get the talent. Make them better when they get a hold of them with, the coaching of Campbell and his staff. So the question begs, do we need a quarterback now? Is Goff the right quarterback for this team right now? He is. He's not a bridge quarterback. He is a legit starter. Not maybe elite like Rodgers or Brady or Patrick Mahomes. Okay? We're not saying that he's that. All I'm saying is he is more than just a bridge quarterback. He's a top 15 quarterback. Yeah, people say his arm strength isn't as good. That's okay. We don't need him to be the gunslinger like a Brett Favre or Matthew Stafford. We don't want that. We want a field leader. We need a team captain, a guy that will command respect in the huddle, move the offense, get the touchdowns, get the points, get the wins, like Goff did last year. That's all you need from a quarterback. Because Trent Dilfer, some of you guys will remember that name, led the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl with a great defense and good weapons around him. That's what Goff reminds me of. Trent Dilfer wasn't the most skilled and athletic quarterback, but he did do the job. He was a field marshal. He led the pocket. He was a great captain. And they won a Super Bowl with him in Baltimore. So I do think the Lions should go on and draft a quarterback, not this year, but next season. So that young quarterback can and will learn from Goff and the offensive coordinator. I think Holmes is thinking that way. I think Campbell is thinking that way. Even Spielman is thinking that way. And Spielman, as a part of this organization, I think was a big reason why they got a turnaround and we got some of the players that we did. It's a persona, a culture, an attitude that the players have bought into, and now we're seeing the results. The second burning question, why draft defense? And why they should draft a lot of defense. The Lions were obviously one of the worst defensive units in the first half of the season. In the second half of the season, or second part of the season, they were probably one of the better improved. And that has to do with their defensive coordinator, which stayed. Is great. He stayed, but he still needs more talent to add to that defense. So, like the question says, why draft for defense? So you can make an elite defense and improve on what you already have, add on what you have, and so you can become an elite defense. The Rams, a couple of seasons when they did win the Super Bowl, it wasn't because of Matthew Stafford. It was because Aaron Donald was an elite tackle, elite leader. He had elite people around him, and they had a good defensive scheme. They were a good, great defense, and they made it there because of that. Stafford didn't win the Super Bowl for them. It was Aaron Donald and that defense. Yeah, they had a scored offense, scored touchdowns through offense, but we all know defense wins championships. Holmes is going to do that. He acknowledges it, he knows it, and Campbell knows it. Chris Spielman knows it because he was a defensive player, and he knows what these guys know what it takes to win championships, Super Bowls. That's what we've been striving here in Detroit, right? We want to make the playoffs. We want to be one of those teams that can be checked off that went to the Super Bowl and even win one, right? So we're going to look at further in depth in this episode the defensive prospects that the Lions should draft. Look into them a little bit more. Who I think we should draft, and that's the reason why we need to draft for defense. Not just to draft for draft. We need talent to go with Hutchinson and Rodriguez and the new secondary additions that Holmes had signed. So our defensive coach can improve, add on, and make it an elite defense. It's why a lot of the team, Belichick won so much in New England. So for our third topic and third question, what position needs do the Lions need to draft in the upcoming NFL draft next week? Well, in my opinion, front seven all the way. Some of you will want a quarterback, a nice shiny Mercedes-Benz quarterback. Some of you would want a running back, a wide receiver, a tight end, which you would have an argument with that. But in my opinion, it's the front seven of that defense. You already have Hutchinson, Rodriguez, and a few other pieces there already. But in my opinion, to make an elite, dominating defense, you need another tackle, another defensive end, another middle linebacker, inside linebacker, like a Jack Campbell out of Iowa, or Simpson out of Clemson, or a few other ones, in my opinion. But you have to it has to be the right fit though too when it comes to the middle linebacker. But a lot of people are crying about we need a corner also, which I agree with that. But that front seven sets the tone, sets the strength in every game. Not a corner, not a safety, not a wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, or running back. It's the trenches is where the game is won and lost. Everybody knows this. Some people don't want to admit to it, but it is. So that front seven needs to be addressed even more with more talent. And as I was saying, with Aaron Glenn, our DC, he's doing right. He's doing fine. He's progressing that defense. And the Lions are in good hands with Aaron Glenn running that defense. But he needs more help on that front seven to make it an elite defense. The question I pose to you fans out there, Lions fans, NFL fans, whatever you want to call yourself, do you want to be a mediocre team like the Lions in the 90s when they always went 9-7, 8-8, maybe 10-6? Do you want to be a playoff team? Have 10, 12, 13, 14 wins? Or do you want to be a Super Bowl winning team, cheering for a Super Bowl winning team? If the answer is yes on the later, then you need a draft for defense, especially the front seven. It's imminent. You look at New England. You look at Tampa Bay, the Ravens, the Rams, the 49ers, Chicago. All these teams, when they won their Super Bowl championships, Dallas, Seattle, not too much a Super Bowl winning, but they've had great teams on the defensive side. You know, you look at these teams, when they went far and they went to a Super Bowl and actually won it, they had great defensive talent, especially on this front seven, and they had stars, but they had teams that gelled, and they were just dominant, awesome teams that just units that just took out the competition. And that's why when I was talking about earlier about Trent Dilfer and the Ravens, you could have a average quarterback and win. I'm not saying Goff is an average quarterback. He's actually better than Trent Dilfer. But he's more than a viable option at quarterback now and in the future to win a Super Bowl for the Lions. But you need to have that dominant defense to do that. Like the Rams, like the 49ers, like the 84 Chicago Bears. Okay? The whatever years that the Baltimore Ravens won it. I can't remember what years they won it. I know they won it, in the last 15, 20 years. So Tampa Bay, when they won it the couple, 2 or 3 times that they did, they had great defense. They had great front seven. Then they had a great second line of defense of linebackers. Then a great secondary that there. So the Lions have pieces, but you need more than just a few pieces. You need a whole unit, and then you need backups to that and backups to that. So you need a draft for talent in your second lines and third lines. So, but the Lions draft and they draft mostly for defense, you're going to probably see a Super Bowl within the next year or 2 or 3. I'm hoping and I'm thinking, I have a feeling that we might be seeing a Super Bowl entry Lions team here in the next year or 2. That's how good the Lions are becoming with Aaron Glenn on that defense side calling the plays and Campbell letting Aaron Glenn do what he does best. Teach those youngsters. Teach them up. Get the talent. that Holmes needs to bring in and keep bringing it in. And I think Holmes is doing a great job as a GM, and he's just going to keep on keeping on, bringing in that talent, and he knows how to evaluate it. So we have, I think, the pieces set. We need to bring in more, and I think Holmes is going to do that in this NFL draft next week. And our DC, Aaron Glenn is going to do a magnificent job at evaluating and put them in the best situation to succeed and become a great unit. Okay, for our fourth question and our fourth subject is Lions needs on offense. Do they need more than what they have on offense? Yeah, I think they do. For the most part, they have everything that they need on the offensive line, at running back, at quarterback, wide receiver, and various things like that. And I think their tight end depth is good. But for me, their wide receiver core needs a little bit, and there's a reason for that. Today, as I'm recording this audio for you guys, I have learned that 3 Lions have been suspended. 2 have been released out of those 4, and 2 of them were, like I said, suspended for 6 games. 2 of them, and one of them happens to be Jamison, was one of the players that was suspended for 6 games. Cortez, the kid out of Wisconsin, the wide receiver, has been released and indefinitely suspended from the league. Then we lost C.J. Moore, the safety and special teams specialist. Will hurt us. Also losing him because he was pretty decent. All to the online betting apps. Betting on NFL games, to be precise. And we lost some talent. A little bit of talent. Now they have to watch Jamison even closer. There's been some off-the-field issues with him, throwing Goff, not supporting his quarterback, Goff. This offseason, wanting another quarterback from another team. Things like that. Him kind of moaning and groaning about not getting the ball. Things like that. Some of these off-the-field issues, minor ones, right now, are they going to accumulate to bigger off-the-field issues for him? I don't know. But this begs the question, can we rely on Jamison to be a consistent, good teammate in the locker room and on the field for the Lions? And do we need to go out and get another big-time wide receiver now in the draft? Or can we still go and get another, like, St. Brown in, like, the 4th, 5th, or 6th round? I know we don't have a 4th round, but you never know. They might trade in, use a couple of their picks to get into the 4th round or whatever. You know how it goes. Is that going to still be what they do? Also, I know some of you guys want that, like I was saying, with the position needs earlier in this video, that some of you would like that new shiny Mercedes-Benz quarterback, but that's not going to happen, at least I don't think this year. They might draft a quarterback in the later rounds to progress and mentor under Goff and our OC, but I don't see a first rounder there unless Goff gets hurt or they trade him off. So, but I think our biggest needs on the offense, as I get to it, is tight end, another spectacular tight end to replace Hawkinson, maybe Myers out of Notre Dame, maybe you could go with a running back out of Texas, Robinson, would be a really nice three-headed monster for Detroit. And then maybe an offensive guard for depth. You know, don't have anybody really to, you know, we have good guards. We have Graham coming back. But you need to be able to plug and play some of these positions, and guard is one of them. Where if you draft somebody, they need to learn, be mentored, learn the right way to play that position, things like that. So those are the things the Lions have to think about. I think, in my opinion, tight end, running back, and guard, and maybe even a tackle. Even a tackle might be even in the cards too. You never know. And a wide receiver. I can't forget about the wide receivers. You do need some wide receiver depth for at least 6 games. You do. And you need to replace Jamison and Cortez for at least 6 games. And so, are you drafting early and often? Early and maybe a late rounder? I don't know. That's up to Holmes and what he's going to do. It's just my opinion. But I think they will do what they need to do. But I think tight end, offensive guard, wide receiver, running back, and then maybe a quarterback and a tackle in the later rounds. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. To recap, most definitely running back, tight end, and wide receiver and guard are their biggest needs on offense. Not pressing needs, but they do need to fill them if they want to make a more of an improved run to the playoffs and maybe a Super Bowl. So, in this part of the video, I want to talk about Lions and their chances to make the playoffs and maybe a Super Bowl next year or in 2 years from now, on the way they're going and how they're building their team. There's 2 ways of, in my opinion, making the playoffs and going to a Super Bowl. It's with a great dominating defense, or with controlling the ball with a great running game, which the Lions do have, and might add a player like Robinson or the kid out of Alabama to help control the ball. And then on the other side of the ball with defense, drafting for more talent on the defensive side to shore up that front 7 with a middle linebacker, defensive tackle, and even a defensive end, and then maybe shore it up the secondary with a quality or even great corner like Gonzalez or Witherspoon out of Illinois. Players like that can shore up that defense, make it a more quality, dominating defense, talent-wise. Or you could just have both of them. It would be great. And I think that's what they're going to have, is a great defense and a great running game. And those 2 things complementing with Goff at quarterback and the pieces they have at wide receiver and the dominant offensive line that they have and the wide receivers that they have in place. They have a formula of succeeding and winning a lot of games and making a really deep run in the playoffs, maybe next year or the year after that. And it'll be great to see, as a Lions fan, to see that they will be able to succeed like that. But I do want to get into one thing. As I was recording these segments this week, we did get, and I had actually talked about it in one of the earlier segments in this video when it was breaking, the Jamison betting scandal, if you want to call it that, or, investigation, where him and 3 other Lions were investigated for betting, and, and 2 of them are definitely out of the league for right now, and Jamison and one of the others only got 6 months. I wanted to not actually get into that part. I wanted to actually talk about, because one of the other YouTubers that I actually watch, that I like to watch for Lions news and updates and stuff, actually made a point of how the Lions found out that Jamison actually did this. And how they found out he did it in the facility. And I want to answer that question, actually, because I have a technical background, IT background. So I can actually answer that question in some manner for you fans out there, which happen to be that what happens is your phone pings an address, and if you're on a network that's being monitored like an NFL team and you're in their facility, that's going to happen. Your device pings a website, that website pings you back, and you now have a connection, and now they have an IP address and a URL address. And if you don't know, for you that don't know what a URL address, it's basically a www.something.com address, which will show you where you have been and what you're doing on their network. And that's how they found out that Jamison was not doing what he was supposed to be doing on his phone, and cost the Lions a talent for the 6 months, or 6 games. I do want to apologize. I think I did say 6 months. It was actually only 6 games. If it was, I think they would have released him if it was 6 months. But so all I want to say is that's how they found out. Give you a little bit of how the process does. If you do have any questions about that, please comment and like and subscribe to the channel, and I will try to explain it in longer terms or more layman terms or whatever you want to call it or do. But that does hamper a little bit. I don't think actually losing Jamison will actually be that tough of a loss for them, actually. He only played in a couple games. Only had 1 catch for a touchdown. That was it. Didn't do anything more. They signed Marvin Jones, which is I think, yes, he's a little up there in age, but he's quite an upgrade from Chalk. In my mind, he's a good threat, a mid to long range threat, a great threat in the end zone. Was like that when he was here in Detroit the first time. Was it like that in Cincinnati? Kind of was like that in Jacksonville. I just think that we're all set. I think people are just, in that crisis mode. Oh my God, we lost Jameson. No. Please simmer down with that. He's not that big of a loss just yet. Okay? And that's why the Lions are probably not freaking out. Holmes is not freaking out. Yeah, it might alter his plans a little bit in the draft, but I don't think it will. He's still going to probably draft a wide receiver in the late rounds. If the right receiver, talent-wise, comes up, he might draft it a little bit earlier. We'll see. But Holmes and Campbell are not in the big crisis mode that everybody thinks they should be or they are. I think they're in great hands with St. Brown, Jones Sr., and some of the other guys that they have. Just don't think that they're that desperate, at least just yet. So they got a good running game. They might add to it. They might add a tight end. That defense needs the players and the talent. The offense doesn't. The offense is pretty good. And the defense is getting there too, but they need more talent to be a Super Bowl contending team. And that's where Holmes and Campbell and Spielman want to go. They don't want to be just, we need to fill a hole because one of our young kids did something stupid. No. I'm not in crisis mode with that. I'm glad that we have Marvin Jones Sr. He will do just fine. You guys will see. Jameson will come in. I wasn't really a big fan of the drafting him either, like some, but I do like his talent. I like his speed, but he needs to mature. He needs to, stop whining that he hasn't been playing as much and putting his quarterback under the bus with wanting to draft or trade for Lamar Jackson, and then this recent incident with the betting investigation. I don't think we need a crisis mode yet with him. I think they just need to set him down, talk to him, and that's why Marvin Jones is here. That's why Jamal Williams was here, to mentor the young players on the offense and then the running game. Jones is here to mentor Jameson. That's the reason why he's here. A lot of people just think it was just to fill and get a little bit production out of an older. No, he's here. Yeah, we're going to get some production out of him, but he's mainly here for what Jamal Williamson was here. To be a leader, to be a mentor for the young wide receivers, to grow them. So we're in good hands with Marvin Jones Sr. So I'm glad he's here, and I welcome him here wholeheartedly. So, but back to the playoffs and Super Bowl scenario, we are going to be in good hands. I think if we draft the right way, and I do think we'll draft the right way with Holmes. Guys are brilliant, and I think if he does his due diligence with the prospects, he will draft the right ones, and we will be in the playoffs and maybe in the Super Bowl. So we'll see. Hopefully everything pans out. Actually, you know what? Let me rephrase that. I'm not hoping. I'm very optimistic that Holmes will get us to the promised land with this year or next. And Dan Campbell is the guy to drive the bus. So, okay, if you like this video and you want to make a comment, please do so. Please subscribe so I can put out some more videos for you guys. I know this is the first one in many to come, but please support the channel and this video, and I will see you next time on the next video. That'll be probably OTs or training camp. Take care, everybody. Please subscribe, like, or comment below.